Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Monster Hunter. This is Latakin014. I know it's been a long time since the last time we did a video, but I don't think time should be really considered since, you know, college does stop a lot of my favorite hobbies. But, well, we're back, so let's get this on the way. So, we're talking to the little elder over here just to get through the dialogue. There's a cut right here just for the fact that I had to mess around with some settings because I switched over from the PSP over to the emulator on the the PC, so that way it should look a little bit better. So here's the quest, and you might saw the little thing about the cheats off in the top section. That's because you get to mess around a little bit more on the PC, but obviously this playthrough doesn't need cheats. So, we're using the gunlance. I did not know going into this quest, because it's been so long, that the gunlance, at least with this sharpness, can't actually hit through the Khezu's hide very well, other than the head and the mid-body, and that's very hard to aim for, so you'll see me bounce a couple times. And I do mess around a little bit because I forgot that since this is the first hunt with the Khezu doesn't actually spawn anywhere else other than 3. So you'll see me move around a little bit, but at least this gives me a little bit of time to talk about what I've been doing recently. I did pick up Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, and that game's been pretty fun. At least there are a few flaws, but overall it's an enjoyable game. Over here you saw me mess up a little bit earlier on the ledge because in the new game you actually auto climb, so you don't have to push any buttons for that. But yeah, gunlance, man, they're so different from each other. Like, I have to relearn to play this game. Although, like, I'm just rusty, so I haven't lost any of my, you know, knowledge and skills that I've developed. It's just realizing what moves that I cannot use anymore, which is disheartening at times, but we can pull through this. We can pull through this pretty good. So you can see me wandering around in 6. I thought he'd spawn in 8. He does like to come to 8, 1, 6, and 7. All those top parts. He never goes into 2 or 4. From what I remember, and 5 is not an area, it's just a transition area for most things. So I'm just confused, like, it's nowhere around. So I eventually head to 3. I have to splice some footage together. I could have avoided it, but you can see, you can look around, just Gaia Prey, I think. They don't look like Gaia Prey. I usually think Gaia Prey have the blue crest on their head, but that's only the Gaia Drome. So I'm making my way down to 3 now, and you'll see me kind of focus on this hunt more so just the shelling aspect of the gun, because you can't really bounce that way, although you can't really do combos, and you don't do as much damage, although there is a little bit of fire damage attached to each shell as you fire it off. And because this is a normal shot, because I have 5 rounds in the clip, or magazine, whatever they call it, I could just kind of blast away as soon as I get an opening. So here's the Khezu. It looks like a giant white penis. That's the first thing that most people think of, and it's unique in the Monster Hunter games because it's like one of the only creatures that doesn't have any background music when you're fighting it. So you can see me bouncing it, or on it, real quick. And this is a great chance to get off a wave of fire if I didn't get interrupted with a roar, and if I realized that I would bounce earlier. So you can see, most of the time you're going to be evading around the Khezu, and just waiting for it to do that. That's a perfect chance for a wave of fire if you get the chance to, which I should have taken advantage of. I'm just getting my bearings right now with the movement. And that tail, most of the time, will miss you and go over you. As you can see, I can guard that. And if I had shells loaded, I could be blasting away at it. But because that tail is usually so high off the ground, it usually goes over the hunter, at least for the time being. But the hitbox is a little larger than you would expect it to be sometimes. I know in the newer games we play. So you can see right here, it's a perfect chance for me to stab at its face, as long as I choose proper positioning. And you see I got hit by the tail. The hitboxes I gotta relearn. I don't remember exactly where things would hit me, and at least with the Khezu spinning around like this, it can kind of get rid of that Gaia prey in the background, which has been annoying me the whole match. And I'll be focused on attacking the legs, because once it falls over, it gives you a nice opening for attacks. For any other weapon type out there, if you're trying to hit Khezu, after you've been hit by the electric shock right here, you're free to go at it because it won't register another hit on your character. So, at least, this is mainly applicable only for weapons with shields. Sword and shield, you're going to be knocked back too far to take advantage of it, and gunlance and lance are the only ones that are going to be able to stick close to Khezu and just take the brunt of the damage. It's the amazing thing about the shield. But right here, good chance for a wave of fire if added, but other than that, I could just blast away at its legs. But right here, you can see me take the first hit and try to go in for a second hit, but the sharpness just doesn't cut it. So that's mainly the brunt of the fight. I'm going to be trying to focusing on blocking its electrical AoE attack, and then trying to go in for a couple hits. So yeah, I keep trying, but it's not going to cut through. Right there, got a good hit off with the upswing. The upswing is one of the gunlance's strongest attacks. So you need to try to focus on cutting those or attaching those hits in as much as you can. And right here, you can see like once it pushes me at a far enough distance, I can actually do a run-in attack, which is almost the same as one of those upswing attacks. I bounced, I don't know how. I don't know exactly what I hit. I think it was probably still counting the wingtip as a hitbox when I did that. But usually a Waver Fire always knocks this guy down. And although like I have an opportunity here, the sharpness going down, I cannot have that. So you do that as much as possible. And the cat, gotta be very wary of the cat. I should have chosen some other cat, but I don't think we have access to any other kitties, at least for the time being. So I have to deal with the bomb kitty, which is very disruptive for any lance class, because the explosions knock you around a lot. So you can see this hunt's not going too bad. It's pretty much just take turns. And its rage mode, you can see it's spouting like white smoke from its mouth. It's nothing too major, pretty easy to avoid. Most of his attacks still, although it's a little faster and he favors the AoE electrical attack more often. I know at least with other weapon types that don't have a shield, you're going to be focused on trying to attack the legs for maybe 1 or 2 hits and then getting the hell out of there. And then once it's down, you want to try to aim for the face if possible, because that's where its largest weak point to blunt and cutting damage is. The tail actually takes very little damage from where it's anchoring itself to the ground for those explosive hits. But if that's all you can hit, then go at it. I know for the long swords, great swords, you can kind of poke away at it from using your distance to your advantage. And with the hammer by itself already has super pound, so you don't have to worry about bouncing. So if you get an opening, go ahead and do that. You might, well, you will be caught with a lot of the roars that the Khezu does. And you can hear that sound right there. The gunlance just recharged its wavering fire, which is one of its strongest attacks. Now, for hunters out there that know a little bit more advanced tactics, when a creature goes to sleep, you do ×3 damage from the first hit you do on it. So you would think that the Wyvern Fire would be amazing, but the Wyvern Fire is actually 4 separate hits in an explosion that they're kind of grouped close together. So only the first explosion would get the damage bonus while the others hit. So don't do that if you are online with anybody or in a group with anybody else. You want to let the Greatsword or the Hammer take care of it, or if anyone has bombs, that would be the preferable thing to do. So this area right here, 6, is going to be majorly annoying only for the fact that all these minion creatures around are going to disrupt my guards and possibly knock me around. You can see right there, whenever the Khezu enters rage mode, he always sniffs around. You also have to avoid using flash bombs on the Khezu because it doesn't have eyes, so they don't affect it, and neither do sonic bombs. Shock traps and pitfall traps do work on this thing, although it's kind of difficult because if you're at any range with the Khezu, it favors the triple electric ball or triple electric ball attack, which comes out in like a V shape with one in the middle. So if you're far enough away, you can actually just avoid it by going between the projectile's path. So because I'm using a lance class, I don't actually stay at a distance. This is more for light bowgun, heavy bowgun, and bow. As you can see right here, the Khezu stops and just kind of stays in this position. This indicates that it's weak enough for capture. I know in a lot of games when it does go into that kind of mode, we try to go for the legs and head as much as possible, especially in higher ranks, because if we can trip it, it stands back up and does that same motion, same motion, and tries to kind of just stand there a little bit. So if you keep tripping it, it kind of just keeps standing there, giving you more and more free hits. And a creature later on that we'll be fighting, the Plesioth, whatever you like to call it, does about the same thing too when it reaches the threshold when it's ready to capture. So that's a good chance to try to get as much damage as possible on it if you want to kill it. Otherwise, you can attempt to trap it, but I don't recommend it. At least right here I pulled up the trap, but obviously I'm not going to use it, only for the fact that the weapon that I have sheathed so slowly that it's not really worth it. Unless I can get a good opening and try to lead it into the trap. So, still not worth it. Now, the neat thing about the gun lances is all shot damage, or shelling damage it does, is true damage, which means it's not affected by monster hit zones. So, no matter how high the quest gets, its defense of a creature, especially in places where things would bounce, doesn't matter. So you'll do steady damage that is guaranteed. As you can see right here, I hit the tail because that's what's in range. So this quest is getting close to being finished. I get hit there because I got a little greedy, and that could have been bad if he tried to launch an electric ball at me. But even though like I'm at low health, you can see how I avoid around a creature and wait for an attack to initiate before I drink, because that's the safest thing to do. And it has to be an attack that takes a while to do, or you can catch it after you predict it. I see a lot of newer players go for the health pot as soon as their health goes low because they're panicking, but that is one of the worst things you can do, because the monster obviously, well, most often than not, will catch you and just waste that time you spent to do the Mega Potion. So for me, I'd rather just wait and kind of methodically go about this. So right here, the Khezu's about dead, but I don't know that, obviously. I'm just waiting for an opening. And there's that roar. Shields are just awesome. Right here, we take our hit and we go in for the kill. And there we go. So that's the Khezu. The Khezu is going to be used for a lot of electrical weapons because of its hide and its abilities, so I might have to do a little bit of farming. Not looking forward to it, but its armor isn't terrible. It's not amazing, which I'm going to be staying with this battle armor for majority of the low rank because of the speed sharpening and the attack up small, which is still useful. But other than that, the weapons I'd probably end up making. The gunlance is still good, obviously, and because it's long type, I believe it's still long shot in this game. So that's the Khezu hunt. The next hunt, I don't remember what we're going to be doing. We'll see as we go along, but I will be doing all farming off screen if possible, as long as it's a creature that we've already fought. So thank you guys for watching this episode of Let's Play Monster Hunter Freedom. I need to get back into the swing of things, so it's going to be a slow process, but hopefully you guys enjoy this video. See you all next time.